What's good? Tracy Larkins, Chris Mitchell. Tracy Larkins, Chris Mitchell.
These guys know sports.
Watch guys. Watch guys. Tracy Larkins, Chris Mitchell.
These guys know sports.
Yeah.
These guys know sports.
And welcome to Wise Guys. These guys know sports. Live here on the Worldwide Sports Network on this Thursday, January the 20th. Live here on the Wise Guys Sports Show with your boy Trey Larkins. Everybody remember going to follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. Make sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. Oh, we got the action jam-packed show. It's NFL divisional round of the playoffs, the best weekend in the NFL playoffs. We got some big-time matchups. We got the Green Bay Packers playing against the San Francisco 49ers at Lambeau Field. So my Packers meet the 49ers again in the postseason. So I'm going to bring on a little bit later on the show 49er fans, Christian Bradley and Mike Drop, and also my fellow Packer brother, Darrell Owens from the Legacy Sports Show. Also, we got Tom Brady facing off against Matthew Stafford in Tampa Bay this weekend. Rams, Bucks for the right to go to the NFC Championship game. And then we have in the AFC, Bengals versus the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry is going to be back in the lineup for the Tennessee Titans. And also, we got Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, Bills, Chiefs at Arrowhead, a rematch from the AFC Championship game last year. So that's going to be a big-time matchup as well. So I got some guests joining the show tonight. It's NFL division around the playoffs. It's going to be an action jam-packed show. But we got to start off with this.
They're one play away. And the Raiders pull another one out. 4th and goal. The season comes down to this. It is party zone. Intercepted. Jermaine present. And for the first time in 31 years, Cincinnati, your Bengals have won a playoff game.
Yes, it happened here in Cincinnati at Paul Brown Stadium. The Bengals finally broke the playoff drought. They beat the Raiders 26-19. It's the Bengals' first playoff win since 1990. They had previously lost 8 straight playoff games. It was the longest active drought in the NFL. For the Bengals, Joe Burrow, he had a great game. He went 24-34. He threw for 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, he had 9 receptions, 116 receiving yards for the Bengals. Derek Carr had a pretty good game as well for the Raiders. He went 29-54. He threw for 310 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But opening topic of the day, I got my Packers gear on. We in the NFC division around the playoffs, number 1 seed in the NFC. But I'm going to take off my Packers hat for a few minutes and show some love to the hometown Cincinnati Bengals as they finally got it done. Everybody know here in the city, when I talk about the NFL, when I talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and how they haven't won a playoff game since I've been born and how this has been a laughingstock of the NFL and how Mike Brown is one of the worst owners in the NFL, I got to give credit where credit is due because I actually picked the Raiders to beat the Bengals last week on Wild Card Weekend here at Paul Brown Stadium. I thought just something was going to go wrong for the Bengals because it always does in the postseason. You remember back in 2015, Vontaze Burfict got an interception, and the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't even have Ben Roethlisberger in that game, I believe. And the Steelers end up getting a fumble after Hill fumbled for the Bengals. Steelers got the ball back. Vontaze Burfict had a late hit on Antonio Brown that, was against the rules, and the Steelers got into field goal range, and they beat the Bengals in that matchup, a game the Bengals should have won. You remember back in 2006, I believe, in the playoffs, the year the Steelers won the Super Bowl, that year, Carson Palmer, he got injured in that game. That was the year when the Bengals had Chad Ochocinco, they had TJ Hushmanzada, they had Chris Henry, RIP to Chris Henry. They had squad that year, and the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Bengals here at Paul Brown Stadium, went on to win the Super Bowl. So the Bengals have had so many obstacles to overcome in the postseason, so many hurdles to get over. And you know, when you in the NFL and you in a playoff game, those demons can come back to haunt you. Like you can, it's a mental hurdle that you have to get over. And I got to give credit to Zach Taylor and his football team for being able to overcome the obstacles that they had even in this game. Because in the second half, the Bengals only scored 6 points. Like in the first half, they jumped out and they got off to a great start in this game. They were up 20-13 at halftime over the Raiders. So I thought the Bengals did a great job moving the football, you know, in the first half. You know, you had the Tyler Boyd touchdown, and then you also had the touchdown by CJ Ushmanzada as well. So I thought the Bengals did a great job at, you know, building up a lead against the Raiders and making Derek Carr and the Raiders play from behind in this game. And then in the second half, when the Raiders got the ball back and the Bengals, you know, had to get a defensive stop, I know all the Bengal fans, some of who are my family, I know they were thinking, here we go again. Because it just felt like Derek Carr and the Raiders were going to march down the field, tie the game up at 26 apiece. You go into overtime, you never know what could happen because the Raiders, at that point, they playing with house money. The Raiders, they have won these type of games all season long. You saw in week 18, the Raiders, they had to go to overtime against the LA Chargers. They beat the LA Chargers 35-32. And so the Bengals had an opportunity to put the game away on the last drive of the game for the Bengals. They had an opportunity to put the game away. I thought Zach Taylor got a little bit conservative. And in that moment, you got to put the ball in your young quarterback's hands like Joe Burrow. We've seen Joe Burrow make plays time and time again for the Cincinnati Bengals team for the season. Joe Burrow, he got 34 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He had 4,611 passing yards this year. He had 70% completion percentage, which is the best in the NFL. I thought on that last drive for the Bengals, Zach Taylor should have put the ball in Joe Burrow's hand, but he waited to third down to put the ball in Joe Burrow's hand. And then Joe Burrow threw the ball to CJ Uzomah. You knew he was going to be short, and you knew the Raiders were going to get the football back. And the Raiders have done this all season long. And then on the following drive, the Raiders, they're marching down the field. We get to fourth down. Carr, he completes a pass to Deshaun Jackson. Jackson, he just came out of nowhere, caught a pass on fourth down. And so the Bengals are already in, the Raiders, I'm sorry, they're already in Bengals territory. And you just wonder if the Bengals are going to be able to make a play to be able to win this game and win their first playoff game in 30 years. And then they got into the red zone. And I know the hearts were pumping here in Cincinnati at every bar, every household. Everybody had the game on Saturday afternoon here in Cincinnati. Everybody had the game on. So you know everyone was watching, like, what are the Bengals going to do? They are the favorites in this game. They have the better quarterback in this game. They are a better overall team than the Las Vegas Raiders are this season. They beat the Raiders earlier this year, 32-13. But for some reason, the Bengals always make their fans sweat. And so I was sitting there at a bar Saturday afternoon as the Raiders are driving down to tie the game up. And we got to third down. And I think Derek Carr had rolled out to his left. He threw a pass to Renfro. Renfro had stumbled in the end zone. They didn't call pass interference. And I thought no Bengal fans, they thought they were going to call pass interference at that moment, but it wasn't a pass interference. And then you had the fourth down where Jermaine Pratt caught the interception. Derek Carr, he threw it to, who did he throw it to? He threw it to, what was the player's name? He threw it to Zay Jones. Zay Jones, Bengals defense read it well. Jermaine Pratt caught the interception, and the Bengals won their first playoff game in 30 years. So, you know, it was a great atmosphere to watch the playoff game with the Bengal fans. My Packers earned the #1 seed in the NFC, so I didn't have to sweat this past weekend. I'll be sweating this weekend upcoming, but I ain't have to sweat this past weekend. So I'm watching the game thinking like, y'all better get it done. Y'all the favorites. Y'all have the better quarterback. Y'all already beat the Raiders in the regular season. Y'all better get it done. And then, like I said, in the second half, the Bengals they didn't really put up no points and pretty much take off on the Raiders like I thought they were. Like I kind of thought they let the Raiders stick around, and Raiders found themselves in a position to possibly win the game late and send it to overtime. But I got to give the Bengals credit from this perspective. I thought the offensive line did a great job. They held the Raiders to only 2 sacks in the game. So I thought that was key. They held Crosby, the defensive lineman for the Las Vegas Raiders. In this game, he only had, what did he have? Two tackles. So I thought they did a great job, holding Crosby to only 2 tackles for the game. He didn't have, a big time game like he did against the Chargers. So I want to give some credit to that Bengals offensive line. They did a great job protecting Joe Burrow. Y'all know coming into the game, Joe Burrow was the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. I believe he's been sacked over 50 times this year. So that Bengals O-line did a great job protecting Joe Burrow in this matchup. Also, I thought the Bengals did a great job at holding the Raiders to field goals once the Raiders got in the red zone. And that was the key in the game. The Raiders, they were able to move the ball in between the 20s. But once they got in the red zone, I thought the Bengals defense did a great job at holding the Raiders to field goals. So I want to show some love to Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, Von Bell, Jesse Bates, Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson. They did a great job defensively at holding the Raiders to field goals, because I thought if the Raiders were able to come away with touchdowns when they got into the red zone, I think the outcome in this game could have been different, because the Bengals struggled in the second half at being able to score touchdowns of their own. So I thought that was the key. All year long, we've been talking about the strength of this Bengals team. It's their offense. You got Joe Mixon in the backfield. You got Joe Burrow, one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. You got Jamar Chase. You got Tyler Boyd in the slot. You got, T. Higgins and CJ Uzomah. They got weapons all over the field offensively. I thought the defense showed up in this game, and they contained Derek Carr for the most part in this game. I mean, Derek Carr, he had 310 passing yards, but I thought the key in this game was the first half turnover that the Bengals defense created. They only got a field goal on that possession, but I thought that was a key play in the game, and I thought it gave the Bengals defense some confidence, like, okay, if we can get after Carr a little bit and create some turnovers, we got a chance to be able to win this game. Now, the one thing I want to say for the Bengals, as they head into their matchup against the Tennessee Titans this weekend, they have to do a better job at establishing the running game. In this game, Joe Mixon, he had 17 carries for only 48 yards. If they want to have an opportunity to beat the Tennessee Titans, they need Joe Mixon and this Bengals rushing attack to be able to play at an elite level to beat this Tennessee Titans defense. They got that. That's what they're going to need. It can't just be Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. It got to be Joe Mixon involved in the offense as well. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to seeing in this matchup against the Tennessee Titans on Saturday. But I had to come on here and show some love to my hometown squad, the Cincinnati Bengals. I know I give the Bengals, a lot of flack, and I'm always, trash talking to Bengal fans, because, I'm a Packers fan, and we done won Super Bowls and been to the playoffs multiple years, got one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history in Aaron Rodgers, had Brett Favre before. So I've always been able to trash talk Bengal fans, but the Bengals finally got their first playoff win. So that is over. I'm not going to mess with Bengal fans and troll Bengal fans anymore. I'm done with that. They got their first playoff win. So congratulations to Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, and the city of Cincinnati for this win. And before I move on to the NFL division around the playoffs and preview those games, I got to say, the one thing about this Bengals team that is scary is the Bengals, they don't really know what they don't know. Like, I look at Joe Burrow, he talking in the post-game press conference, and he was talking about how this is the expectation going forward. Like, we're not just going to be celebrating playoff wins. We're trying to get deep into the postseason, to the divisional round to the AFC Championship game. This is the expectation and the standard moving forward here in Cincinnati for this Cincinnati Bengals team. So that's what's scary for the rest of the NFL. This Bengals team is young. They are hungry. You got Jamar Chase. You got T. Higgins. You got Joe Mixon in the backfield. All of these players, most of them weren't even alive the last time the Bengals won a playoff game. And while they were going on this drought in the 30 years, these players were young. So they don't really even care about the playoff drought. They just playing football. They going out there and saying, let's play football. Let's get to it. We are a talented team, and why not us? That's been their motto, since the playoffs have begun. Why not us? And I agree. Why not the Cincinnati Bengals? So shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals and Zach Taylor and Mike Brown for getting their first win in 30 years. But it's time, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, NFL divisional round of the playoffs. Big time matchups this weekend in the NFL. Let's start off in the NFC as we have the 4 seed LA Rams, 12-5 during the regular season. They are traveling to the 2 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were 13-4 during the regular season. It's a Sunday afternoon start at 3 p.m. on NBC. And in week 3, the Rams, they beat the Bucs 34-24 in that game. Tom Brady went 41 of 55. He threw for 432 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Matthew Stafford, he had a great game. He went 27 of 38. He threw for 343 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. And in this matchup, let's start off with the Rams and Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, he has the most starts in NFL history, including the playoffs, before winning his first playoff game. He had 186 previous starts before winning his first playoff game. That's the most starts since Fran Tarkenton. He had 174 prior starts before winning his first playoff game. And Odell Beckham in the game, in wild card against the Arizona Cardinals, Odell Beckham became the first player in postseason history with a 30-yard reception and a 30-yard touchdown or 30-yard pass. Also, Tom Brady, he's 14-2 in the divisional round of the playoffs. He has 35 career playoff wins. That's the most by any quarterback in NFL history. So those are some of the storylines, going into this game. It's going to be an exciting matchup. Let's talk about this matchup and my expectations. So let's start off with the Rams offense versus the Bucs defense. During the regular season, Matthew Stafford, he had 41 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. He had 4,886 passing yards. He completed 67% of his passes. And during the offseason, Sean McVay and the LA Rams, they traded for Matthew Stafford. They traded Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. And they basically wanted Matthew Stafford to get them back to the Super Bowl. General manager Les Snead, he made the deal for Matthew Stafford. They talked about how Sean McVay, he wanted Stafford, and he convinced Les Snead to make the deal for Stafford. I think Sean McVay, he felt like, hey, I'm at my maximal potential with Jared Goff. I can't go any farther with Jared Goff. I don't believe I could win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. Now, you remember, Jared Goff led the LA Rams to the Super Bowl. You remember they went up against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. So they got to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff as their quarterback. That was when they still had, Todd Gurley on that team. And so they are a team that's been to the Super Bowl. They've been to the promised land. That was the 2019 Super Bowl when the LA Rams got to the Super Bowl against Tom, Brady. So I think in that matchup, Sean McVay, he felt like they could have beaten the New England Patriots had they had a better quarterback. So that's why you saw them trade for Matthew Stafford. You remember in that game, in the Super Bowl, the Patriots beat the Rams 13-3. So had the Rams had a better quarterback, I even believe they would have beat Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in that Super Bowl. Brady only putting up 13 points. If you got Matthew Stafford, you expect Matthew Stafford to carry you home and be able to win that game. Jared Goff couldn't get it done. He couldn't get it done. And that's why you saw the Rams pull the trigger on this trade and bringing in Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford had a good season, but I got my questions about Matthew Stafford as we get later in the postseason, because down the stretch during the last 4 weeks of the season, Matthew Stafford had 8 interceptions. And so when we get into these playoff games, when you're going up against the likes of Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and then on the flip side, you got Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, you can't have your quarterback turning the football over. When you look at this Rams team, they have one of the most complete teams in the NFL. They got one of the best receivers in the NFL in Cooper Kupp. You got Odell Beckham, on the other side, who's a great receiver, in his own right. And he has emerged as a great weapon for Stafford in this Rams offense. And he has rejuvenated his career now that he's back in LA. And then you got Jefferson, in the slot, in the backfield. They got Cam Akers back from injury. You remember earlier in the season, Cam Akers was supposed to be out for the season. They got him back in the mix. So defensively, you look at their defense. They got one of the best defenses in the NFL. They got 2 of the top 10 players on defense on their team in Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is an all-time great defensive tackle. You got an elite pass rusher in Von Miller, who they traded for earlier this season. You still got Leonard Floyd. So they got the pieces and the personnel to be a Super Bowl contender. Now it's on Matthew Stafford, which is why I believe when it comes to head coaches, Sean McVay has the most pressure on him to get back to the Super Bowl and win more than any other coach remaining, because you decided to trade for Matthew Stafford, Sean. So you said, if I get that guy, I can win the Super Bowl. Well, you got your guy in Matthew Stafford now, Sean McVay. Let's see what you can do in the postseason. And last week, against the Arizona Cardinals, in that game, Matthew Stafford, he went 13 of 17, threw for 202 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He only had 17 attempts. In this matchup against Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford is going to have way more attempts than 17. He's going to have somewhere in the ballpark of 25 to 30 pass attempts in this matchup against the Bucs. 17 pass attempts want to get it done against Tom Brady. So I'm interested to see if Matthew Stafford can step up and make the plays necessary for the Rams to be able to win this game. Now, let's talk about Odell Beckham and his resurgence since he's been in LA. Odell Beckham, in 6 games with the Browns this year, he had 0 touchdowns. In 9 games with the Rams, he has 6. In the 6 games with the Browns, he had 3 red zone targets. In the 9 games With the Rams, he has 10 red zone targets. With the Browns, in the 6 games, he had 2 drops. With the Rams so far, he has 0 drops. So we have seen Odell Beckham reemerge as a big-time playmaker in this Rams offense, which is an indictment against Baker Mayfield, and, the head coach for the Cleveland Browns. And I think that's something that we got to keep in mind as we go forward, because the Cleveland Browns, and Kevin Stefanski, they didn't do a good job at being able to create opportunities for Odell Beckham to thrive in their offense. So it's an indictment against head coach Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield now that Odell Beckham is in the postseason and playing some good football. I don't think it's a good look for Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski. I really, really don't. More so on Baker Mayfield than Kevin Stefanski. So I think Kevin Stefanski is a pretty good head coach. And I thought he did a good job at putting Baker Mayfield in positions to be successful. I just don't think Baker is that guy. That's another story for another day. But, when you look at this Rams offense versus Bucs defense, the Rams have one of the worst rushing attacks in the NFL. They average 99 rushing yards per game. That's ranked 25th in the NFL. And defensively, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got one of the best defenses in the NFL with rushing yards per game. They only give up 93 rushing yards per game. That's ranked 3rd in the NFL. So we know it's going to be hard for the Rams to be able to run the football because the Bucs front 7, with Devin White at linebacker. Up front, you got Vita Vea. You got Ndamukong Suh. They got some players up front who are hard to run against. That's why you see teams have to throw the football in order to beat this Bucs team. In week 3, Matthew Stafford, he had 343 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. It's going to take that type of performance in order for the Rams to roll into Tampa Bay and beat the defending Super Bowl champions. Matthew Stafford can't have 17 passing attempts. He can't have 2 interceptions. He can't turn the ball over if the Rams want to have an opportunity to win this game. So that's going to be a key for me. I want to see, if Matthew Stafford can make the necessary throws for the Rams to be able to win this game. I don't believe they're going to be able to run the football with Cam Akers. I think they're going to struggle in the running game. But if he can protect the football and get the ball to his weapons in Odell Beckham, in Cooper Kupp, in Jefferson, in Tyler Higbee, I think the Rams have an opportunity to pull off an upset in Tampa Bay this weekend. But that's going to be key. That's going to be key because I think this Bucs secondary can be had. I don't really believe the Bucs have an elite secondary. I think they have a great front 7, but I think their secondary is suspect. And against the pass this year, the Bucs, they give up 239 passing yards per game. That's ranked 21st in the NFL. So you could throw the ball on this Bucs defense. I mean, you look at their defensive backs, in the back end, they lost Richard Sherman earlier this year. He's a veteran, but I don't think Richard Sherman is the playmaker that he once was anyway. But in the secondary, they got Sean Murphy-Bunting. He's questionable for this game. The opposite corner is Carlton Davis. You got Jordan Whitehead at safety. You got Antoine Whitfield, Mike Edwards. They got some guys in the secondary who are suspect. And I think you could throw the ball against that Bucs defense. Now, let's switch gears and let's talk about the Bucs offense versus the Rams defense. So for the season, Tom Brady, he had 43 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He had 5,316 total passing yards this season. He had an outstanding season. He was a legitimate NFL MVP candidate this year, and he is a part of the reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the NFC South and are the 2nd seed in the NFC. I believe, when I look at this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, I believe last year they had the luxury of switching guys in and out and still their offense being able to play at an elite level. If you took out Antonio Brown, you could insert, Mike Evans. If you took out Chris Godwin, you could insert, Scotty Miller. And, This year, they don't have that luxury because they're dealing with so many injuries and then the situation involving Antonio Brown. This team this year is built differently because they have some great tight ends in Rob Gronkowski, in Cameron Brate, in O.J. Howard. I think that's going to be key for Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tom Brady. They're going to have to put together a game plan that involves their tight ends. We know Rob Gronkowski is one of the greatest tight ends in the NFL, in NFL history. Overall, we know he has a connection with Tom Brady. So look for Rob Gronkowski to get a lot of targets in this game. And then you look at the weapons. You got Mike Evans. Now, I thought Mike Evans, did a great job last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. In that game, Mike Evans, he had 9 receptions, 117 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. And so that's going to be key for this Bucs offense. Antonio Brown is no longer on the team. Chris Godwin is out for the season. Who's going to step up in the receiving corps if the Rams put Jalen Ramsey on Mike Evans? Who's going to be that second receiver to step up? Is it going to be, Scotty Miller? Who's it going to be? Is it going to be, O.J. Howard, the tight end? Who's going to be that second receiver to step up in this Buccaneers offense? Now, I think what's going to be key for the Bucs as well is their running game. Leonard Fournette, he is questionable for this game. He's been practicing this week. They don't know if he's going to play in this game, but Keyshawn Vaughn is going to be key if Fournette doesn't play. In the game against the Eagles, Vaughn, he had 17 carries, 53 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. A proven veteran who's going to be key in this game, Giovanni Bernard. He's going to be key for this Bucs offense and their rushing attack. If they can run the football and not have Brady drop back to pass over 30 times in this game, they'll give themselves an opportunity to be able to move the ball against this Rams defense. It's going to be key. Vaughn and Bernard, if Fournette doesn't play, because we all know Leonard Fournette, he's a great player in the postseason. Last year, he did great at the running back position for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now it's going to be key for Vaughn and Bernard to step up in the absence of Fournette and Ronald Jones. He's also dealing with an injury, going into this matchup. Also, up front, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got some injuries. Center Ryan Jensen, he's dealing with an ankle injury. Also, the tackle, Tristan Wirfs, he got injured in the playoff game last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. So if this Rams front four can put some pressure on Tom Brady, it could cause issues for that Bucs offense, and the Bucs could be in some trouble in this game. They could be in some trouble. Now, in week 3, this is the Bucs offense in the regular season, week 3 against the Rams compared to everyone else. So points per game against the Rams in week 3, the Bucs, they scored 24. Against everyone else, they scored 30 points per game. Their rushing yards per game, they had 35 rushing yards against the Rams. Against everyone else, they have 102. Yards per rush against the Rams, 2.7. Against everyone else, it's 4.4. And their percentage of being pressured is 27% against the Rams compared to 16% against everyone else. So it's going to be important for the LA Rams to be able to apply pressure on Tom Brady. And you saw earlier this week, Aaron Donald, he came out and said, hey, we respect Tom Brady and what he's accomplished, but that has nothing to do with this game. So this Rams defense, they aren't scared of Tom Brady. They're going to be up for the challenge. When you talk about their players up front, you got Greg Gaines at nose tackle. You got Aaron Donald. You got Leonard Floyd, Trayvon Howard at linebacker. You got Troy Reader, a linebacker who's questionable for this game. They traded for Von Miller, who's a great pass rusher as well. He was able to get a sack on Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals last week. We know Von Miller is a great playoff performer. He dominated the Super Bowl, which was Peyton Manning's last Super Bowl ring when the Broncos faced off against Cam Newton and the Panthers. So we've seen Von Miller make some plays in the postseason. If they can put some pressure on Tom Brady in this game, like I said, it could be some trouble for this Buccaneers offense. Now, the Buccaneers, because they have Tom Brady, they got one of the best passing attacks in the NFL. They averaged 308 passing yards per game. That's ranked first in the NFL. So, it's going to be important for the Rams to apply some pressure on this Bucs offense. In total yards per game, the Bucs, they average 415 total yards per game. That's ranked second in the NFL. They average 30 points per game. That's ranked second in the NFL. So we know they can put up points in a hurry, but it's going to be important for the Rams to apply pressure. And with the injuries that the Buccaneers are dealing with up front, Wirfs and Jensen, I think they could struggle in this game against Aaron Donald and Gaines and Von Miller up front and Leonard Floyd. They could struggle in this matchup. The key matchup is going to be Mike Evans versus Jalen Ramsey. That's going to be key. If Jalen Ramsey can take Mike Evans out of the game and make one of these other receivers have to step up on this Bucs team, it could be trouble for the Bucs. Scotty Miller, Scotty Miller, he had a touchdown catch, in the NFC Championship game last year at Lambeau before the half ended. But, you got Tyler Johnson, Cyril Grayson. Who's going to be that other receiver who steps up in this game? It's going to be interesting to see. But I think the LA Rams have the more complete team. We saw the LA Rams beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 3, 34-24. I believe that the LA Rams are going to be able to apply pressure on Tom Brady. I think Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey are going to have great games in this matchup. So I'm rolling with the LA Rams to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. I'm going to roll with the Rams to beat them in Tampa 30-20. That's my score. I got Matthew Stafford 30, Tom Brady 20. So I think the Bucs run ends in the divisional round, the playoffs against Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. I believe Matthew Stafford gets his second playoff win, and I think the Rams are ready for this moment. I think the Rams are ready to punch their ticket to the NFC Championship game, and we're going to see what kind of team they are in this game. All the pressure is on the Rams. Sean McVay trading for Matthew Stafford trying to prove he deserves to be in that conversation for best quarterbacks in the NFL. Got great defensive players like Aaron Donald, like Jalen Ramsey. We want to see if the Rams can live up to the postseason pressure. Buccaneers, they won a Super Bowl last year with Tom Brady. Won his 7th Super Bowl ring. Bruce Arians, won an NFL Super Bowl championship. So I think the Bucs, are playing, loose. I think the Rams are the more complete team right now because of the injuries that the Bucs are dealing with. So I'm expecting the Rams to get it done in Tampa on Sunday afternoon. Let's transition and let's talk about the Bengals matchup against the Tennessee Titans on Saturday afternoon. We got the Cincinnati Bengals, who were 10-7 on the season. They are traveling to Tennessee to take on Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans. It's going to be a 4:30 p.m. start in Tennessee. Tennessee, they earned the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. So in this matchup, there are a few things I'm looking forward to seeing in this game. Let's start off with the Bengals offense versus the Titans defense. We all know the Cincinnati Bengals, they are led by Joe Burrow. For the season, 34 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He completed 70% of his passes, which is NFL best. He's one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. He is creeping his way into that top 5 quarterback conversation. That's how great Joe Burrow has been this year. And he's played great this year in big games for the Bengals. You remember earlier in the season, the Bengals went up against the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Burrow threw for over 500 passing yards in that game. And then the following week, they went up against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They were trailing in that game, and Joe Burrow brought the Cincinnati Bengals back in that game. They won that game, which means they won the AFC North, so they secured their playoff berth in that game. So Joe Burrow has shown an ability to play well in big-time games. Like we saw at LSU when he won a Heisman Trophy for the LSU Tigers. Joe Burrow had 60 touchdown passes, only 6 interceptions. He completed over 76% of his passes. So every time there's a big-time game, Joe Burrow plays his best when the lights are at its brightest. I don't expect anything to change in this divisional round matchup against the Tennessee Titans. I expect Joe Burrow to play great in this game. Now, let's talk about Joe Burrow when he targets Jamar Chase. This is including the playoffs. In weeks 8 through 15, Burrow's QBR when he throws to Jamar Chase was 30. Since week 16, his QBR when he throws to Chase is 98. Joe Burrow, his completion percentage when he targets Jamar Chase in weeks 8 through 15 was 53%. Since week 16, it's 79%. And yards per attempt, Joe Burrow, in weeks 8 through 15, it was 5.8. Since week 16, it's 14.9 when he targets Jamar Chase. He has 507 passing yards over a 3-game span. So Joe Burrow, when he gets the ball to Jamar Chase, good things happen for this Bengals offense. And y'all know on the season, Jamar Chase, he had a great rookie season. He had 13 touchdowns, 81 receptions. He had over 1,400 receiving yards, which was a Bengals record for a rookie. Jamar Chase is one of the best young receivers we have in the NFL. When you talk about quarterback and receiver connections, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae, second to them are Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I've been saying all year long, hey, I need Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase to prove it to me in big games that they can connect together and make plays for this Bengals offense. They have proven that. So now I think they are the second duo when it comes to quarterback receiver connections in the NFL, only second to Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. So that's how big time Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow has been, so far this season. Like I mentioned earlier, I think a key for this Bengals offense is going to be getting the ball to Joe Mixon. I think that's going to be key because if you can establish the run with Joe Mixon and you can take some pressure off Burrow, even though we know Burrow can thrive in pressure moments, if you can run the football with Joe Mixon, that is another way the Bengals can pull off the upset and be able to win this game. When you're one-dimensional, it limits what you can do offensively. The teams who are great in the postseason are teams who can run the football and also can rely on their quarterback to throw the ball when necessary. If the Bengals can run the football with Joe Mixon, that will be a recipe for success in this matchup against the Tennessee Titans. On the season, the Bengals, they average 103 rushing yards per game. That's ranked 23rd in the NFL. That's not good. They need to run the football with Joe Mixon, with Perriman, and that will open up the passing game for Joe Burrow to be able to get the ball to his weapons in Jamar Chase, in T. Higgins, and the Tyler Boyd. So that's going to be key because if the Titans have to bring 8-9 in the box and that creates one-on-one matchups with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins against those Titans DBs, that could be disaster for the Tennessee Titans. It really, really could. That could be disaster. Now, against the run this year, the Tennessee Titans, they're ranked second in the NFL. They only give up 85 rushing yards per game. So it's going to be important to see who can win that matchup. The Bengals offensive line versus the Tennessee Titans defensive line. The Tennessee Titans, they've been great all year long against the run. And that's going to be key. I want to see who can win that matchup. Last week, again, the Bengals offensive line, they did a great job holding the Las Vegas Raiders defensive line in check. They only got to Joe Burrow in that game twice. So if the Bengals can establish the running game and protect Joe Burrow up front, I think the Bengals can expose this Tennessee Titans defense. But again, up front, they got, Danico Autry, they got Jeffrey Simmons, you got Bud Dupree, who's a great pass rusher in the NFL. They got Zach Cunningham, at linebacker, David Long as well. I like the Titans front seven. They got one of the best front sevens in the NFL when you talk about defensive line and linebackers. Now, let's look at this Bengals offensive line. The Bengals offensive line, we got Trey Hopkins at center. You got Quentin Spain, Jonah Williams, Isaiah Prince, Hakeem Idolizing. So they got some players on this Bengals O-line who have struggled this season. That's going to be key. Bengals O-line versus Titans D-line. I want to see who wins that matchup. And I look at in this game when it comes to Bengals offense versus Titans defense. The Titans secondary, they will be, challenged in this game. Their cornerbacks, Christian Fulton, Janarius Jenkins. In the back end and secondary, you got Amani Hooker, Kevin Byard. They're going to be challenged with the Bengals receivers in Tyler Boyd, in Jamar Chase, in T. Higgins. They're going to be challenged. I want to see who can win that matchup. That's going to be key. Now, let's transition and talk about the Titans offense versus the Bengals defense. The Bengals, they lost Larry Ivanjovi for the season. He got injured in the wild card game against the Raiders. That's going to be key because the Bengals, they have been one of the best teams in the NFL at being able to stop the run. On the season, the Bengals, they are ranked 5th in the NFL, and they only give up 103 rushing yards per game. So up front, when you got players, like Sam Hubbard, and then, you got Trey Hendrickson as well. The Bengals up front are one of the best teams against the run. In this game, the Titans, they are expecting King Henry to be back in this game. For the season, Derrick Henry, before he got injured, this was 8 weeks, 219 carries, 937 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns in 8 games played. He hasn't played in 9 weeks. Now let's talk about the Titans and how they have done a great job without Derrick Henry. With Derrick Henry, they're 6-2 on the season. Without Derrick Henry, they're 6-3. This is why I believe Mike Vrabel deserves to be in that Coach of the Year conversation, along with Matt LaFleur, and Bill Belichick. This is why I believe Mike Vrabel deserves to be in that conversation, because I was one of those people that said without Derrick Henry, the Tennessee Titans season is over. They rely heavily on Derrick Henry and the type of running back that he is and what he brings to the table. He is hard to bring down, and he is a game changer. So I said, once Derrick Henry got injured, I said the Tennessee Titans season is over. It's over. And they have done great without Derrick Henry. And their points per game with Derrick Henry, they average 28 points per game. Without him, they average 21 points per game. Not a big drop-off. And their passing yards per game with Derrick Henry, they average 230 passing yards per game. Without Derrick Henry, they average 176 passing yards per game. And their rushing yards per game, they average 148 with Derrick Henry. And without Derrick Henry, they average 136 rushing yards per game. I want to give a lot of credit to Deontay Foreman, who has been playing some great football for the Tennessee Titans at running back. He's not Derrick Henry, okay? He's not big time like Derrick Henry. But Foreman has done a great job, in Derrick Henry's absence. You look at what he's done so far this season. Foreman, he has 133 carries, 566 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns. So he's done a great job stepping up in the absence of Derrick Henry. And that's going to be key in this game. I think Derrick Henry's healthy. 9 weeks off, I think he's healthy. And as a running back, it doesn't take long for a running back to get back acclimated to what the team is trying to do. It's not like you're playing quarterback where you have so many reads, so many progressions that you have to go through. As a running back, you got one job: run and run hard and run fast. So I think Derrick Henry is going to be back in this game. And I think this Titans rushing attack against this Bengals front seven is going to be key. The Titans coming into this game, they are ranked 5th in the NFL. They average 141 rushing yards per game. That's going to be key in this game. That's going to be key. If the Titans can run, the football. I want to see if they're going to be able to run the football with Derrick Henry. If they can, and they give this Bengals front seven trouble, Bengals could be in trouble Saturday afternoon in Tennessee. They could be in trouble. We know how dynamic the Titans' weapons are offensively. You got A.J. Brown at receiver as well. You got Julio Jones, who is a playmaker and a great playoff performer in this offense. Now, this year, the Titans, bringing in Julio Jones, they had more expectations for Julio Jones this year. And he got injured earlier this year, but for the season, he got 31 receptions, only 1 touchdown, 434 receiving yards. But in this matchup, I expect Julio Jones to perform at a high level and help this Titans offense move the football. You got A.J. Brown, you got Julio Jones. They are proven playmakers for the Tennessee Titans. Although Julio Jones hasn't played well this year, I think Julio Jones can step up in a big-time moment for the Tennessee Titans. I really, really do. Also, it's going to be key for the Bengals defensive backs because I think the Titans, when they got A.J. Brown, they got Julio Jones, they got a height advantage. A.J. Brown, he's 6'1". Julio Jones, he's 6'3". So, these Bengals defensive backs, it's going to be key if they can contain A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. That's going to be key. So I'm looking at the Bengals secondary. You got Eli Apple. You got Inukwe as well. You got, Von Bell in the secondary, Jesse Bates, Trey Waynes. Can they contain Julio Jones and A.J. Brown in the passing game? That's going to be key. Now, before I bring on my guest of the show tonight, let's give my prediction for this Bengals-Titans game. I've been picking against the Bengals all year long. I've been trolling Bengal fans all season long, right? I picked the Raiders to beat the Bengals, and the Bengals proved me wrong in that game. So, I believe that Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to pull off the upset in Tennessee and advance to the AFC Championship game. I got the Bengals beating the Tennessee Titans 27-20. Yes, I am rolling with the hometown squad to get it done in Tennessee 27-20. So I got Joe Burrow 27, Ryan Tannehill 20. I think the Bengals defense is going to contain Derrick Henry. I don't think Derrick Henry is going to have a big-time game. I think the Bengals are going to force Ryan Tannehill to beat them. I think on the flip side, Joe Burrow is going to outplay Ryan Tannehill. I think Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are going to perform well in the passing game for the Bengals. I don't think Jamar Chase is going to have over 100 yards receiving, though. I think T. Higgins is going to have a breakout game for the Bengals in this matchup. I think T. Higgins, is going to go off because I think the Titans are going to take away Jamar Chase and limit him in this game. But they got other weapons like T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. I think this is a game where T. Higgins plays well. I'm rolling with the Bengals to beat the Titans 27-20 and advance to the AFC Championship game. That's what I'm rolling with. Now, without further ado, I want to welcome to the show. He is the program director, the CEO of the Legacy Makers Sports Network, my fellow Packer brother, Darrell Owens. Darrell, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's up, Trey? How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. So we about to get into the matchup, but I got some 49er fans. I got my man Mike Drop and Christian Bradley. They're 49er fans. I couldn't allow them, Darrell, to come on my show and jump me tonight. So I had to bring on my fellow Packer brother to have my back on the show tonight, man. So I need you. I need you, man.
I'm here for you, man. I'm here for you. I look, I know it's gonna. Look, we got a tough one ahead of us. We ain't stupid. So but I'm ready. I'm here for you, brother.
Okay, let me go ahead and bring them on real quick so we can get this going, man. It's time. Let me bring them on. I want to welcome to the show 49ers fan, my man, Robert Anthony, Mike Drop. What's up, Drop?
What up, what up, what up? You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. You see I'm in the throwback.
Yeah, I see you.
I got the Jerry on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I see you. Now let me bring in my other 49er fan, Christian Bradley, real quick. Let me bring him on here. I want to welcome to the show former guest on the Wise Guy Sports on the Worldwide Sports Network, diehard San Francisco 49ers fan, Christian Bradley. Christian, what's up, bro? How you doing?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. So I'm going to be honest with y'all. I had it already set up that I wanted to bring you and Mike Drop on the show, but I wasn't going to let y'all jump me tonight. I wasn't going to let y'all jump me, man. So I had to bring on my man.
Help, huh?
I had to bring on my man, Darrell, on the show from the Legacy Sportsmaker podcast, and my fellow Packer brother to talk some football in this matchup. And so, fellas, before we break it down and talk about the games, we're going to talk about the game here in a second. I got to be honest with y'all. I got to be real. So dating back to earlier this year, y'all remember the Bengals and the 49ers, they played against each other here in Cincinnati. Mike Drop, Christian, y'all here in Cincinnati like I am. Bengals was having a pretty good season. Bengals played the 49ers in week 14, right? And that game went on overtime. But the 49ers, they beat the Bengals 26-23. Jimmy Garoppolo led the Niners down for the game-winning drive in overtime. And so, fellas, I'm just going to be real with y'all. Since week 14, I'm looking at the playoff standings in the NFC. And I know, hey, we got a top seed in the NFC. But I knew that the Niners wasn't going to win the NFC West. I knew either the Rams or the Cardinals was going to win the NFC West. So since week 14, every game following, I've been rooting against the Niners. They played the Falcons in week 15. They beat them. And then they lost to the Titans. I know y'all remember this. They lost to the Titans right before Christmas in week 16. And I think they failed at like 87. And so I was thinking like, okay, they lost. I knew y'all were going to beat the Texans. But then in week 18, fellas, we go into week 18 against the LA Rams. The Rams were beating the Niners 17-0. I was texting Mike Drop. I never forget. They up 17-0. And coming into the matchup, if the Saints would have beaten the Falcons, which they did, and I'm looking at this stuff happening in real time. The Saints was up, I think, like 24-6 on the Falcons at halftime. So I'm like, okay, the Niners, you know, they playoff fate is right here in front of their eyes. And I'm thinking like, okay, come on, Rams. Come on, Stafford. Come on, Stafford. I'm rooting for the Rams like crazy. I'm like, come on, Rams. And so them, like in the second half, Jimmy G and that Niners team came all the way back from a 17-point deficit. It went on to overtime. I'm rooting for the Rams in overtime. I'm just praying the Rams can pull it off because I thought y'all season was over twice. I thought it was over in the fourth quarter when Cooper Kupp caught that touchdown pass. I remember the Rams went up 24-17. I'm like, Jimmy G ain't about to drive them down and get a game time touchdown. It ain't about to happen. I didn't think he was gonna be able to do it. I didn't think he was gonna be able to do it.
Why wouldn't he do it?
I didn't think he was gonna be able to do it. But I will admit this. Once y'all got into the playoffs, I had already accepted that y'all was coming to Lambeau Field. I had already accepted it. Now, Darrell, before Mike dropped the Christian, come on here. Did you feel the same way?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I did. I felt it coming. It was crazy to me because like what a lot of people don't realize about this San Francisco team, and they forget that the San Francisco 49ers were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Yeah. Last year, injury plagued, and then they come back this year. Yeah, hit some rough spots, but. And this is not a team that you just want to up and face in the playoffs because you know they know how to win, and they've got most of the people from that Super Bowl run on that team. So they've had a taste. They've had a taste of the Super Bowl, and they know how to get there. So I knew, you know, in the NFC, I felt like 6 of the 7 teams had a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and they went to the Super Bowl. I would not be surprised. Yeah, and the 49ers being one of them. And the only one I didn't was the Eagles, but that's because they're super young. But I'm very nervous about that 49ers team. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. They're a very tough football team. And if anybody knows the Green Bay Packers, it's the San Francisco 49ers.
For real, for sure. And then you look at the seeding in the NFC, fellas, I knew the Eagles wasn't going to beat the Bucks. So I'm like, okay, like the way it was lining up, we got Niners at Cowboys. I'm like, the Niners going to beat the Cowboys. I said, oh, man, the Cowboys going to choke. But I was actually rooting for the Cowboys. I was like, "Come on, Dak."
Y'all don't want to see us. Y'all don't want to see us.
No, I didn't.
Tonight.
I'm gonna let you and Christian talk now. I just wanted to get that out there. I had to let it be known. I've been rooting against y'all since week 14.
We kryptonite in the playoffs. We kryptonite in the playoffs. What we beat y'all 3 times, 3 straight. Aaron Rodgers can't beat us in the playoffs.
It's been 3 straight.
He can't beat us in the playoffs. He can beat us in the regular season, though.
He almost
beat us in the regular season.
He had to be Aaron. He had to be Superman to beat us in the regular season this past time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
He had to be Superman. So I mean, if Fred Warner drops back another yard, that pass is tipped and the game is over. Mm-hmm. You know, so again, my Niners, me and Bobby's Niners, man, we are a different team we were week 3. Mm-hmm. You know, we're relatively healthy. We have an identity. And I say this all the time: if Jimmy cannot make that head-scratching decision, if he does not make a head-scratching throw, I really feel we can go in Lambeau and shock the world. I really do. Aaron Rodgers is playing Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are just probably one of the best duos you'll ever see. Y'all defense is pretty decent. We have to put pressure on Aaron. We have to. If we could do what we did in 2019, then run the ball with Elijah and with Debo and then with Jeff Wilson, you know, we should be able to make some noise in Lambeau. So the way we play translates to any condition. So that's how I feel about
it. I agree. And then, like, before we get into the matchup this weekend, I thought last week, fellas, looking at that game against the Cowboys, I thought the Niners honestly dominated that game for the first 3 quarters. And they did a great job applying pressure on Dak Prescott. They got the Prescott 5 times last week. And so I thought they did great being able to apply pressure on Prescott, even without Bosa. Bosa got injured, in that game. Yeah. And
Warner, that's when they came back. That's when they came back. Once Bosa got hurt, and he one of the keys, especially even to this next game, we should get him back off of the concussion protocol. But as soon as Bosa got hurt, that's when they made that run. They didn't do nothing until then. So
no, I agree. And then I thought too, it was crazy because, fellas, George Kittle in this game, he only had 1 reception. He only had 1 reception. I'm like, what the hell? They was able to win this game with George Kittle only having 1 reception. I couldn't believe it because we know how dynamic George Kittle is.
So he was being doubled a lot of the game, though. And that's why you saw them catches by Ayuk. That's why you saw a lot of the other stuff happening. Because they have to pick their poison in some way. Either you're going to try and, Debo may not always beat you deep, but once he catches the ball, he's a problem. And if you get him with only 1 guy on him, he's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why he runs the ball. They can hand it to him in the backfield like that. Because if you give him 1 guy, he's hard to take down. He can shake you or he can just run straight through you. Either way, we ain't tripping. So you have to double those guys. And Brandon Ayuk as far as making great catches, and in the last couple games, Juan Jennings has been showing out. So that's who. And another reason why and Kittle sets all that up because Kittle is the one that gets those guys open.
Agreed. The scheme is crazy. Again, as long as Jimmy missed Brandon Ayuk, Trayvon Diggs was in the mixer. I don't know if you saw this play.
Trayvon Diggs on the left side. On the left side.
He had him.
was on skates. And Jimmy missed him by 5 yards. And that's the stuff that so I love Jimmy. I love Jimmy Garoppolo. I really do. Obviously, we know that Trey Lance is the future. But I love Jimmy Garoppolo. And I really feel like again, like to Bobby's point, pick your poison. I mean, if you want to double Kittle, okay. If you want to take Debo out, okay. You got Juan Jennings. You still got Elijah Mitchell. You got to contend with. You still got Brandon Ayuk. You got to contend with. And I mean, we got literally 4 weapons out there. Then you got Trent Sherfield who comes in and makes a play. You got Travis Benjamin coming and make a play. Yeah. So we got weapons. It's all about. And then again, to get the most dominant left tackle in football, in Trent Williams. Laken Tomlinson is another unsung hero who started every game in 2017. Big Tom Compton has played amazingly over since McClinchy's been here. I think that been an upgrade over McClinchy, honestly, on the left side, on the right side. Alec Mack is playing at an all-pro level, or center. Yeah. And then you got Brunskill who comes in and plays pretty well. So as long as if you notice, Jimmy didn't get sacked last week, or did he get sacked once? The pocket was relatively.
Now he didn't get sacked.
I have to look.
He didn't get sacked.
I have to look. Yeah.
Nope. If we, I know you guys are getting back to Darius Thomas and some other people this week, which is obviously we'll get to your defense.
Yeah.
But we can keep a clean pocket, and if Jimmy can make the correct reads in the throws, he made a throw to Brandon Ayuk when he rolled out for the third, I think 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, and Brandon Ayuk made the catch and he stretched over for the first down. That was a hell of a play. If Jimmy, I would like to see some bootlegs this week. We can do some bootlegs, sound like we did against the Bengals in overtime, throwing them out.
It's all gonna come down to us running the ball. If you looked at the first game, that was the number one thing. Two things. The number one thing is we didn't run the ball. That's the game that Mitchell sat out. We only had we had 67 yards for that game. We averaged like almost $130.
Yeah,
Mitchell in the game. So when he plays different, because if nothing else, we don't have to sit here and overstate or understate how good Aaron Rodgers is. We ain't stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like the best way to beat him is to not give him the ball. So if we can run the ball and control the time of possession, that's going to be the best way, because he can't beat us from the sidelines. So I mean, if we do that, which I think we'll run the ball pretty effectively. The second part is, that was the first that our DBs, by when we played y'all week 3, we was done. That was the first week Josh Norman was even on the team, and he was getting cooked.
Yeah.
He was getting cooked.
Barbecue chicken.
They was putting him on Devontae like he was the old Josh. And I'm like, bruh, you don't do that to bro. He can't get that man right now. So I mean, I think we got a better scheme. A lot of our DBs are back. We should have Bosa back, so we should be able to at least get pressure on Aaron. And if we can keep him out the pocket, I mean, you ain't gonna stop Aaron. He probably gonna put up
300 yards.
Realistically, 21 to. I say even we had a good defense. So I'm gonna say 21 to 28 points. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was more than that. But we're gonna have to keep him off the field and keep him on his butt as much as possible.
Yeah, because in Aaron Rodgers' postseason career, and I know Darrell know this, Aaron Rodgers has never scored less than 20 points. Even when he's lost, he ain't ever scored less than 20 points. But real quick, before we get to it, I thought too, one of the keys last week, fellas, was the opening possession of the game for the 49ers. Y'all went right down the field against that Cowboys defense. 7 plays, 75-yard drive, and I thought that set the tone for the entire game. Now, again, we know Jimmy G is going to be Jimmy G. And that interception that he threw in the fourth quarter, I don't know what he was thinking. I really, really don't. And
it wasn't a bad throw. It just floated. It just floated. I mean, don't get me wrong. And it happened. He on the run. He not a great mobile quarterback. He throwing on the run, and he trying to loft it over, and he just overthrew it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It wasn't. I don't even get so really mad at those throws. I get mad at the throws where you're like, dude, you should not have thrown that at all because he was not even close to being open.
Yeah, right.
You overthrow a guy, I don't like it. But on the run, I get it rolling out, and it can happen. You could throw an interception. He was throwing it to the sideline, so but every quarterback has 1 or 2 throws a game that they like. I overthrew a guy. Oh, I didn't hit a guy on that. That was just one of them. But for the most part, if you look through Jimmy G history, people give Jimmy hell. Look at all the games where Jimmy got the ball, and it's either to go down to score or tie or whatever. Jimmy G comes through in the clutch most times. I'm not saying he not Tom Brady, he not Aaron Rodgers, but watch him. And the thing I always tell people about Jimmy G is whether I think he's good or whether you think he's good or whoever thinks he's good, them dudes on the team with him believe him when he got the ball. Yeah. And you have, as much as the fans have been like, we want Trey, you have not heard anybody in that locker room even hint to the fact that, hey, we need to be starting Trey now. They all like, nah. You even saw when Richard Sherman, when he just came out and said something about Jimmy G, he said, look, it's a reason why them guys in that locker room believe in him. It's a reason why they like him. And I think he kind of got a bad rep because a lot of these guys, a lot of people don't watch all the game or even some of the games. They watch the highlights and then they watch the Super Bowl and maybe the playoffs. Yeah. In the Super Bowl, Jimmy just had a bad game. He didn't have a great game, but it wasn't his fault. He had a bad season. It wasn't his fault that we lost. But I mean, at the end of the day, we kind of fell apart just in general. But I think they know that. I think they know what happened. I think they kind of know that they collapsed. And like you said, that team has a lot of those same players. And after that 1 year we were all injured, I think we're still pretty good. Our team and our overall roster is good. It's really, really good.
Real quick, Christian. Real quick, I'm going to say that Wise Guys. Everybody go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. We are live here on the Worldwide Sports Network. Darrell Owens, CEO of the Legacy Sports Maker, Mike Drop, diehard 49ers fan, Christian Bradley, diehard 49ers fan, joining the Wise Guys Sports Show. Real quick, Darrell, I want to say this too. See, that's what's so crazy about Jimmy G, though, fellas, because I thought in the matchup against the Rams in Week 18, the opposite happened. When all the chips were stacked against Jimmy Garoppolo, he stepped up and marched them right down the field on that 88-yard touchdown drive that tied the game at 24, apiece. But then, last week against the Cowboys, I'm going to get y'all his numbers. In the first half, he went 11 of 14. In the second half, he went 5 of 11. His passing yards in the first half, he had 133 passing yards. In the second half, he only had 39 passing yards. He had no touchdowns, no interceptions in the first half. That one bad interception in the second half. His passer rating in the first half was 106.3. And in the second half, it was 16.9. So I just don't know which Jimmy G gonna show up. Like I just think it's the one mystery heading into this game that I just really don't know what we're going to get from Jimmy Garoppolo. Darrell, you want to chime in on this?
To be honest with you, that's going to be the key for the Packers. I mean, we've seen in the past, obviously the 49ers have been able to run the ball against us tremendously in these playoff games. And obviously we've got to find a way to limit it. I don't know if we'll be able to stop it, but we have to find a way to limit it and kind of control that run game the best way we can, because, I mean, they've got young studs in here. I mean, every year the 49ers find a running back that's like, where this guy come from? And you get a guy like Mitchell, and they come in there and they just do really good things. Heck, man, even Kruzcheck goes out there. I seen a game where Kruzcheck had it.
Yeah.
He was doing magic. They're going to run the ball well. We know this. The problem is for Green Bay, they've got to find a way to get Jimmy G to create turnovers. And to me, in my opinion, I think that's the biggest way the Packers can win this game. Now, the first game when it was when we played in San Francisco earlier this year, in my opinion, I felt like Green Bay, they let up a little bit, because if you watch the beginning part of that game, Green Bay had complete control. They slowly let a 49ers team creep back in the game, which you cannot do. You cannot let a 49ers team this talented, even with all the injuries and all the replacements, you still can't let that team stick around. And they let them stick around, and they almost beat us.
They did.
To be honest with you, they probably should have beat us. And, you got lucky on that end. So it's like, for me, can Green Bay Green Bay could beat San Francisco, but can San Francisco beat Green Bay? Of course they can. Yeah. This game is going to be, to me, one on the lines, defensive line, offensive line. Who is going to win the battle up front is going to be very critical for me in this one. And obviously no turnovers, but that's the biggest thing for me. I just need to see Green Bay find a way to pull this bad boy off. But, you look at one other thing that people don't look at, like, this is very important to Jimmy G too, because all you hear now is, this could be it for Jimmy G. We've been hearing that for like a couple of weeks now. Like, he even said it himself. He's like, well, he's thinking this could be it for him. He's not dumb. He knows Trey Lance is there. Yeah. So this means just as much to Jimmy G that it does to Aaron Rodgers, who we all know this could be Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Packer. We really don't know. That's the mystery in this game. So we're going to really see between two quarterbacks who wants it more and who wants to, continue to move on and futures and all that good stuff. So it's to me, it's just, I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm nervous. But that's because it's playoff football, baby. I mean,
And I mean, go ahead, my bad.
I'm saying, y'all, people are overstating Jimmy G. Like he is a lot better than most people give him credit for. If you look at the game, even last season when we played the Saints, he was the one that marched us down and got that. If you look at the game against the Bengals, he was the one that marched us down there and did that. It's really hard to look at. Don't get me wrong. He's gonna make a couple throws like everybody. He's like, oh, I wish I had them back or something like that. That's gonna happen. But when you look at his stats, it's really weird, because you also have to think about the makeup of our team and how our team gets points. Kyle Shanahan does some creative things, and that's why when you see, you don't see some things that don't show up on a stat report is when he walks up to the line of scrimmage, he gets us in the right play. That don't come up in the stat report, but you see it because it'll be a run and play to Debo, and it don't matter how you get the money. It's just like how you have running backs who catch the ball out the backfield. The way they use Debo is like a running back and a wide receiver. He always get his money. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what, whether he's catching or whether he's receiving it. Now, a lot of that also has to do with Jimmy calling at the line of scrimmage and making sure we are in the right play. So, I mean, I don't think Jimmy's going to be any different. I just think that a lot of people have an opinion of him that is a little bit underinflated because of small samples and things here and there to happen. But I'm going to tell you this. At the end of the day, when this season is over, whether it's over this next game or whether we continue on, Jimmy G will be the number one quarterback prospect for any team in the offseason. And every time he wins the game, it goes up more. And depending on the run, I would say if we get to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, there's almost no way he'd have to stay on the team.
Yeah.
No way to not.
He can't go nowhere.
But let's say
it'd be crazy. It would be crazy.
But I'm telling y'all now, don't be surprised if even if that doesn't happen. I wouldn't be shocked if he somehow is there another year. Now, I'm not necessarily saying it's the best move, because I don't think his trade value will ever be higher than this particular year. Not so much because I think that he's not going to play good. The class of quarterbacks who are available this year just isn't good. Coming out of college, and there's not a lot of great free agents really out there. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he definitely ain't coming to Sanford. He ain't going to a lot of these places. He going somewhere else if he goes somewhere. I don't really think he's going to go nowhere. But my point is that he's going to be the number one guy 9 times out of 10. And there'll be a lot of teams. I seen a list today, had about 8 teams on it that were already targeting him. So you don't want a guy that's targeted by that many teams that's not pretty daggone good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Christian.
I agree with Bobby. And one thing that Bobby, I want to drive home with his point about Jimmy. I always talk about execution in wins and losses.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is 35-14 as a starter. Regardless if he is, 23 of 30 for 325 yards, 2 touchdowns versus 19 of 29 for 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The dude wins more than he loses. And I understand that we had, Brian Hoyer and C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins as quarterbacks when he was out or before he got there. They still had the same defense. We still had the same scheme. We still had the same people playing the game. And we had quarterbacks who didn't get it done. So Jimmy's a winner. And another thing, to Bobby's point, the locker room, people, it's a reason why, like Sherman said, I honestly feel like if we went deep in the playoffs, went deeper, championship game, in my opinion, go championship game or Super Bowl, and we win or lose, that would put a big splitter in the locker room if he's traded. I really feel the locker room be split. Those young guys, everybody likes Trey Lance too. He's like a high character young man. But it's a reason, even during the 4-game losing streak we had earlier this year, and Jimmy missed one of the games, and then we obviously won you didn't really hear about the rumbles about Jimmy being replaced. You hear it from the fan base, but you didn't hear it from the locker room. You didn't hear it from the coaching staff. You didn't hear it from the GM. There was no leaks about Jimmy Garoppolo being benched.
Yeah.
I listen to Grant Cohen. He's the biggest hater of Jimmy Garoppolo. This guy is a hater. He's a super hater. And he's one of those reporters who stir the pot and makes rumors and all this other stuff. And he's the only guy I heard out of San Francisco who covered the Niners that Jimmy should be benched for Trey Lance. Even now, he felt that after the Rams game, Jimmy should be benched for Trey Lance.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. This dude, listen to Grant Cohen. Go on YouTube, man, and look up Grant Cohen. He used to write for Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. Okay. You can't make that kind of change right now in the middle of a playoff run.
This dude has been calling. He liked Nick Mullins over Jimmy Garoppolo last year. This guy is a Jimmy Garoppolo hater. And he is a hater. Like, he does not like Jimmy Garoppolo. He always, when the Niners win, when the Niners beat the Bengals, he was like, Jimmy didn't play well to the last 2 minutes. All right, man.
It sounds like he might be Skip Bayless's,
he's Skip Bayless.
You know what I'm saying? It's like Jimmy might be his LeBron James, his Skip. You know what I'm saying? Crazy.
Totally agree with you on that, man. But again, like to Bobby's point again, if we run the football, our identity is 30 to 40 carries a game. If I think this year when we have rushed the ball, I think over 30 times. I think we're like 8 and maybe like 7-0, 7-1, maybe like that.
Yeah, we just got to run the ball.
If we run the football, I don't care. And I really feel like we're going to get creative. I feel like we'll get some end rounds with IU. We're going to get some runs with Kittle. Juice going to get involved. It's going to be a lot of different wrinkles because now, obviously, and what's interesting is this. I don't know if you guys do this. About the coaching staff and how Shanahan kind of owns McVay and LaFleur. Those 3 guys were under Jay Gruden in Washington together. And they worked
Washington's biggest mistake.
How do you let those 3 guys lead a building?
Crazy.
That's crazy. But
3 head coaches. All of them have been at least to a championship game.
Exactly. Washington have no pods to the playoffs or divisional since that departure. But I really feel like that we have to run the football. We have to make sure we have the dominant time possession. To Bobby's point, we have to keep Aaron Rodgers. I think week 10 or 11 we played the Rams the first time. We have to have that formula. We have to have 2 drives of 18 minutes, 12 minutes, or whatever it was, 18 play drives to keep the great Aaron Rodgers off the field. Because he is.
I knew Matt Stafford was going to choke. If we get Aaron Rodgers, that's it.
It's still going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
He got too much Detroit in him.
The Rams are front runners. If they beating you, they can get ahead of you, and they might just blow you out.
Yeah.
If you get them in a close game, Detroit Matthew Stafford.
Yes, Detroit Matthew Stafford.
So I don't need. Like I said, keep it close with him. You're going to have a chance. I said that the whole round. I said, all we got to do is keep it close. Stafford, I don't trust him.
Right. But then, I want to transition, fellas. Enough about Jimmy G and Matthew Stafford. Let's talk about a quarterback who is a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. We know he a 3-time NFL MVP, more than likely going to win his 4th NFL MVP this year. 4-time first-team All-Player. Aaron Rodgers for his career, 449 touchdown passes, only 93 interceptions. He's thrown for over 55,000 passing yards.
We know he good.
I know. I'm just saying. I got to read the numbers off a little bit.
I got to pull it up and didn't know who he was.
I know. I got to read the numbers off a little bit, but
no, you don't. He's Aaron Rodgers.
No, but Aaron
the numbers for, bro. We don't need the numbers, bro. Does anybody on this panel need the numbers for Aaron Rodgers to prove that he's good?
It's leading me to this point, though, Drop. This is what it is. This is what it is. And Darrell, I know you can, agree with me on this. I know my Packers lost in the 2015 NFC Championship game to the Seattle Seahawks when Brandon Bostic botched the onside kick. I know in 2017, we lost the NFC Championship game to Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. That's all fine and dandy. I know last year we lost the NFC Championship game to Tom Brady at Lambeau, but Aaron Rodgers can't lose to the Niners again. It can't happen again. I don't think I'm going to be able to handle Aaron Rodgers losing again to the Niners. Let's go down memory lane, fellas, shall we? This is something we want to forget about. The 2013 NFC divisional round of the playoffs. January 12th, 2013. The Niners beat the Packers 45-31. On that Packers defense, Charles Woodson, the great Charles Woodson was on that defense. Clay Matthews was on that defense. They didn't have no answer for that Niners rushing attack. That night, the Niners had 323 rushing yards. Colin Kaepernick, remember him? He had 181 rushing yards that night. Then the following year, in 2014, in the wild card game, this was the year when Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone, and he came back, beat the Bears. Packers got a home playoff game. Were the favorites. The Niners came to Lambeau that year and beat us. It was on January 5th, 2014. The Niners beat the Packers 23-20. It was cold as hell that game. I know y'all remember.
Freeze outside.
Freezing. The Niners that game, they had 167 rushing yards. Kaepernick had 7 rushing carries for 98 rushing yards that game. And then I know y'all remember the 2019 NFC Championship game in San Francisco, January 19, 2020. The Niners 37, Packers 20. Jimmy G threw 8 passes. And the Niners had 285 rushing yards. Listen, Joe Barry, this is to the whole Packers defense, okay? All of the Packers defense up front. Dean Lowry, Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, DeAndre Campbell at linebacker, Chris Barnes, Zadarius Smith, Willis Marcellus. They need to sell out to stop the run. If we hold the Niners to under 100 yards rushing, I think we win this game.
We can hold them under 100.
Can y'all agree? Hold on. Right, real quick. Mic drop and Christian. Can y'all agree?
I 100% agree.
If we hold y'all under 100 yards.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have to run the ball effectively. I would say chances are if y'all hold us under 100 yards, y'all probably going to win the game.
Most definitely.
I mean, that if I was a betting man. I think that the thing about and the thing that's really interesting about the 49ers Green Bay rivalry and the matchups is that most teams don't want to go into Green Bay because it's cold. And you would think that San Francisco it's not a super warm weather. I don't know if you've ever been to San Francisco, but it's like a mild weather. It's not Green Bay.
No.
But the difference between us and probably most of the league is we are a power team and we a defensive team. And that travels everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And we don't need to run the ball throw the ball more than 8 times when we're running the ball like that. And in cold weather games like this, it's actually to our benefit because it kind of equalizes. Even though I know Aaron Rodgers is used to it and he know how to throw the ball there, no matter how you want to look at it, it still neutralizes some of the passing game. It still neutralizes some of the, of that part of the game. And that's really to our advantage. Like, it really is.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's crazy because, like, when you go back and, Trey, as you were saying all the names of those games, I thought a piece of me died each time you was working it out there. But I will say this, with Green Bay, the biggest thing, what is Aaron Rodgers known for? Not turning the ball over, right? Doesn't turn the ball over. You look at those stats every year, it's 37 touchdowns, the 4 picks or 2 picks or 25-2. The thing the 49ers have been able to do in these games is they create uncharacteristic Green Bay Packer turnovers.
Yeah.
So Green Bay in this game needs to find a way to keep those turnovers to a minimum, if none at all. Because if you start seeing like a couple years ago in that NFC Championship game, we were down a little bit at the time, but Packers are driving. What do you see? Aaron fumbles. Both Aarons fumbled the ball in that game. Yeah. Aaron Jones rarely fumbles the football.
Yeah.
But those are the things that San Francisco has been able to do against this Packers team, and has been able to hold it over their heads. If Green Bay wants to win this game, first of all, you got to play. You almost got to play perfect. I hate to say it, but you have to play perfect, and you cannot turn the ball over. You cannot let this 49ers team stick around. It can't be close. I'll be honest with you. If you got a chance to put it on their throat, you got to go through it. You cannot let them hang around, because they will. If they're hanging around, they will be in the mix. We've seen what Jimmy G can do. We've seen what Samuel is all about. We know what George Kittle can do. We've seen George Kittle tear up the Saints. Was it Saints in that one game? They were,
and he usually get y'all fits too.
Yeah. So and that's what I'm saying. Like, Green Bay has to find a way to not, have those uncharacteristic turnovers that you rarely see Green Bay have. And that's what the 49ers, that's been the 49ers key in every one of those matchups that you brought. They were able to make Green Bay do the things they normally don't do.
Yeah.
So the question is, can they make that not happen in this contest?
And I think it's going to be key, Darrell, for us to be able to run the football with thunder and lightning. You got Aaron Jones in the backfield with A.J. Dillon. But the problem is the Niners, they rank 7th in the NFL against the run. They only give up 104 rushing yards per game. But fellas, here's where we have the advantage. I don't think nobody in that Niners secondary can guard Davante Adams. Davante Adams is the best receiver in the NFL. And I don't think Josh Norman can guard him. I know Emmanuel Mosley can't guard him. So I think the Packers have the advantage when it comes to the passing game. If y'all don't apply pressure on Aaron Rodgers, I think that's a recipe for success for the Packers, because I don't think nobody in that secondary can guard Davante.
Well,
I really don't.
Think the real key in the Packers receiving core is going to be Allen Lazard, because if you watch Lazard over the last five couple of games, like 4 or 5 games, you watch, Aaron has been going more to Allen Lazard. You can tell he's trying to get that, really truly get that comfort level with Lazard. And we've seen streaks of it. And right now they've been kind of on a little bit of a tear together. He's going to be the critical part, because we already know the 49ers are going to find a way to lock Davante down. They've done it before, and they'll be able to, they'll have that secondary help to try to watch out for Davante. It's going to be very critical for Allen Lazard to have a big game. And then we got Cobb coming back, so that's going to be critical. But Lazard, to me, is the key in that Packers receiving core.
To your point, Darrell, the last 3 weeks, Allen Lazard, he has 13 receptions for 4 touchdowns. So he has stepped up in these last few weeks of the season. And you're right, it's going to be key for him to step up. But I don't think the Niners got an answer for Davante. I really, really don't. Like, this ain't not now. In 2019, they still had Richard Sherman. They had guys who could guard Davante. And in that game, he still had over 100 yards receiving, but it was in garbage time because we knew it was a blowout.
Ain't nobody guarding Davante for more than a couple seconds. Let's just keep it 100. Yeah. The only way you guard him is you put pressure on him.
Agreed.
So I mean, if them guys put pressure on him, like I said, a lot of our line is back, and we got our number one guy. So I mean, if we can get pressure on Aaron Rodgers, we good. If he's sitting back there, it's going to be a long day. It's probably over for him. So we need Nick Bosa and them boys to get in there. Like I said, that was only his 3rd game back then, so he wasn't really in the swing of things. So I think we'll do a lot better this time. Like I said, even Josh Norman, who ain't like he ain't the old Josh Norman, but he's good enough to not just get to play the schemes and know when he got help and stuff like that.
Josh has had a
we not guarding him all day.
Josh had what?
I feel like there was a couple.
You say he had a good season?
Yeah, I mean, overall, Josh. No, I'm not saying like he's been Josh Norman or old, but he hasn't been miserable because the last couple of years he's been miserable. I feel like he's made some big
penalties. Too many penalties. Now I'll take that over you getting burnt for a touchdown. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But just a little too many penalties. He's got them in the last couple games. He's cut those down. But again, that's because those guys on the line are getting better and they're getting more pressure up front. So I mean, it works hand in hand. Our team DBs aren't the greatest. I mean, at the end of the day, I hope Trey is ready, like, next year. But I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't. I think that my boys got to be get some caution with Trey because he didn't play that much in college.
No,
and he coming into, I would say, who else's offensive system is more sophisticated than ours? Probably nobody really. I mean, as far as like all the moving pieces,
moving parts,
and that's a lot to put on a kid who didn't play that much in college and who now coming into the system. And you got a good team. This ain't a team that, we ain't bums. It ain't like we ain't Chicago. It's like, well, you might as well play now. We ain't making the playoffs no way. Now, might as well get experience. Like, no, these guys are like, no, we got a chance to at least be pretty good and make the playoffs. So I think the main thing is you got to pressure Aaron Rodgers. You only going to beat Green Bay one way. Pressure Aaron Rodgers and keep him off the field.
True enough.
Now it's easier said than done.
Right.
But that's the recipe. And if we run the ball and we pressure like your man said, it's gonna be one on that line. That line is gonna be the whole story of the whole game. All other stuff is gonna happen in between those lines. But if the pressure is up front too much for either one of them, I mean, pressure bust pipes. I don't care. I've seen them all: Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
Man,
you put enough pressure on them all day, eventually they're going to give you something.
True enough. True enough. And also, too, fellas, I think the Packers are one of the more healthier teams in the playoffs right now. I mean, we're going to get back Jair Alexander. Zadarius Smith is supposed to return back to the lineup. Whitney Marcellus, surprisingly, is going to play in this game. Josh Myers, he returned in the Week 18 game against the Lions. And then Billy Turner also is going to be in the lineup for the Packers up front. It's going to be important because, you look at the injury report in this game. Nick Bosa, he questionable. Marcel Harris, linebacker for the Niners, he questionable. Ambry Thomas, the cornerback, questionable. Jordan Willis is doubtful. Fellas, make no mistake about it. Nick Bosa going to play on Saturday night. Nick Bosa going to be out there. He gonna be out there.
All you gotta do is get through concussion protocol. They're gonna figure out a way to make that happen.
They're gonna figure out. Ain't no way in hell Nick Bosa ain't gonna play in this game.
Well, I mean, I saw.
They gonna have to leave. They gonna have to leave Nick Bosa back. They gonna have to leave Nick Bosa back in San Francisco for him not to be able to play in this game.
Well, I saw a report earlier said he's going to play Saturday. I think it was him and Warner. They said
Fred Warner, yeah.
And that Bosa should be good to go by Saturday. So, and those guys are not going to be out this game. This game is too important. But like Green Bay has to find a way also to dictate the pace of this game.
Yeah.
When they in the Week 3 game, they did that early, and then San Francisco kind of switched and got back into their groove and got back and then took that lead and all that good stuff. So that Green Bay, usually when we play these games, is always to the San Francisco's pace. They dictate the game, and Green Bay's either always catching up from behind or they're getting blown out early. It's one of the two. So it's one of those things. Green Bay has to find a way to dictate the pace. They've got to find a way to to maintain this running game. There's a lot of elements to it.
It is. But I think Darrell, real quick, Christian, I think Darrell too, what's important for the Packers in this game, if we can go up 10 or 14 points in this game, I think that will be the opportunity that we will have to win this game. If the Niners hang around and it's close, going into the third and fourth quarter, the Niners got a chance to pull off the upset. I think in the first half, if we get out to a great start, set the tone early and go up 10 or 14 points, make Jimmy G have to play from behind, I think that's a recipe for success for the Packers to be able to win this game. I don't think Jimmy G can come back from a 14-point deficit because Aaron Rodgers ain't Matthew Stafford. We ain't letting you come back from 17 points down. Okay, you ain't coming back from that if you're down against us. That's just my opinion.
Well, we did that week 3. We did that week 3 though. We was up. You guys was up 17-0 week 3.
It was up. I think we were up. It was 27-10. Wasn't it 27-10? Or am I wrong about that? 27. I think it was 27-10 or something like that.
Well, at halftime it was 17-7.
17-7. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's better, but we can still come back.
Yeah, I don't want to be in a predicament.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to prove you right.
I
don't want to prove you right.
I don't want to be in a. Again, it's gonna come down to turnovers and run the football.
Right.
If we can create some turnovers, and I'm going to kind of push back a little bit when it comes to secondary. Emmanuel Mosley is a lot better than which a lot of y'all give him credit to be. Mm-hmm. Emmanuel Mosley, he had the high ankle sprain. This is what people don't understand about the Bengals game. We were on our 5th corner on the Bengals game with the Bengals game. Okay, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins didn't do anything until Ambry Thomas got hurt with the concussion, and we were on our 6th corner, and that's when Chase went off. So even with and I give credit to DeMeco Ryans because of the scheme. This DeMeco Ryans obviously came under Salah, who's with the Jets, and
we're probably gonna lose at the end of this year.
Well, we probably would go to. He had an interview with Minnesota yesterday or something like that. So, I mean, but the scheme is he's really maxed our secondary because we've had so many issues in the secondary. And one thing about Josh Norman, he had a lot of stupid penalties like on 3rd down, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. You get a hand to the face or illegal hitting or illegal touching, and he hasn't played after the last 3 or 4. I think the last it's a Houston game. I don't think he's played. And Emmanuel Mosley came in, and Dante Johnson's been playing. So we got some moving parts secondary. I think nobody can stop Devontae Adams. To Bobby's point, nobody can stop that guy. If we can get pressure, on Aaron Rodgers, a la 2019, if we can make it very uncomfortable for him, like we did in 2019, run the football effectively, play action, some bootlegs with Jimmy, a lot of run after the catch as far as some screens to Ayuk. Some things to Kittle. I really feel like, and I think really Juan Jennings is going to be the key to this game. I really feel like Juan Jennings is going to be the person. The game he had against the Rams, he was the unsung hero against the Rams. He had about 2 or 3 big 3rd down catches, and then running after the catch after he made those 3rd down catches. I really feel he had some big catches against Dallas as well. On Sunday. So if we could run the football, Elijah Mitchell didn't play against the Green Bay Packers either. Trey Sermon played that game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We had no running yards. Yeah.
And Jeff Wilson was out that game too. So if we can, I think it was Trey Sermon and somebody else that we brought in that that played that game.
I think 67 yards that game.
Yeah.
Rushing.
So if we can run the football, we got Mitchell. You got Wilson. Debo's going to do what he does. I really think Kittle's going to be a factor big in the passing game. He just loves to block. I mean, the dude had 900 yards receiving and only played, I think, 11, 12 games. Right. He had that 4-game tear. So pick your poison. You got Debo or you want Kittle. You want Ayuk or you want Ron Jennings. You want Mitchell?
Yeah.
Well, as long
Josh Norman is back to his normal spot, at least at this age, which is the nickel.
Is he? Okay.
So he's playing nickel more now. Which is good for him. That's fine. He can play in the slot, and
Agreed. But he's
good enough to do that. Yeah.
He want playing nickel. But one more point. I'll be quiet. We're some bullies, man, on both sides of the football.
Right. Yeah.
We're bullies, man. I mean, that goddamn Trent Williams sets the tone. Like we're bullies. We're bullies.
Him and Kittle.
On that left side are bullies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then we got and credit to Chris Kassar. Chris Kassar is our defensive line coach. And I watched the clips of this dude. This dude is freaking intense. This dude has brought back Arden Key's career. I ain't heard of Arden Key when he was with the Raiders. I ain't heard no Charles Omenihu when he was with Houston. Who he got? You know what I'm saying? Eric Armstead. All these guys. DJ Jones is a monster in the middle. We were like, I think 20th in rushing stop run defense. I think middle of the season. Now we're down to 7. We're 4th and I think we're 3rd in total defense. Freaking Zeke. Dallas had 80 yards rushing last week, if that, 60 yards rushing.
Yeah, but Zeke ain't the same player that he wants.
Oh, he's not. But Chris Paul has six or seven touches. You know what I'm saying? My thing is, we stopped the number one offense in the league last week. Now, most of those yards come against the NFC East or NFC least, right? I mean, you can definitely, have a number one offense when you're playing the Giants and the Redskins and the Eagles 6 times a year. You know what I'm saying? Or 2 times a piece. But I guess my point is that like we had success, and I'm not saying Dak is Aaron Rodgers is not. I'm not saying that CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper is Devontae Adams, because they're not.
Right.
But to Bobby's point, if we're able to stop the run, we run the football ourselves and put pressure on Aaron Rodgers, I really feel like we have a chance to win this football game. I really feel that Kyle Shanahan and DeMeco Ryans are going to have a game plan. As long as we execute the game plan, we should be good to go.
Yeah, see, for me, the key is going to be, I think Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator for the Packers, I want to see how healthy Jair Alexander is. Because if Alexander is healthy, you match up Jair Alexander versus Deebo Samuel. On the opposite side, you match up Eric Stokes versus Brandon Ayuk. Let's see who wins those 2 matchups. Because Jair Alexander, he caught an interception in the Week 3 matchup when the Packers beat the Niners 30-28. Jair Alexander over here. And one more thing, real quick, before we get out of here, folks. I gotta say this. So last week on Wild Card Weekend, I felt like Matthew Stafford had the most pressure to win on Wild Card Weekend because he hasn't won the playoffs before. I said Matthew Stafford got to win. Like, he got to win this game. Now, we in the division round of the playoffs. Joe Burrow and the hometown Cincinnati Bengals, they already overachieved.
House money. They playing with house money.
They playing with house money. They already overachieved. Ryan Tannehill, he's not an elite quarterback. There's no legacy to speak of. Patrick Mahomes, he's been to back-to-back Super Bowls. If you don't go to a 3rd Super Bowl, it's okay. It's hard to get back to the Super Bowl. Josh Allen, you won a playoff game, led the Bills to the AFC Championship game last year. That was great. On the NFC side, Matthew Stafford finally got that monkey off his back when they beat the Arizona Cardinals on Monday night. Got his first playoff win. Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowl championships.
Tom Brady.
If he loses this year, it's okay.
Don't matter.
All the pressure is on Aaron Rodgers in this divisional round of the playoffs. Make no mistake about it. He got to perform in this game. He cannot go home in the divisional round of the playoffs and lose again to the San Francisco 49ers. Not his hometown team. It cannot happen again. I never forget when Aaron Rodgers got drafted. You remember he fell in the draft because they were talking about the Niners drafting Aaron Rodgers. They asked Aaron afterwards, like, how should the 49ers feel for not drafting him? He said, I'm going to make him, pay for that. You haven't done it, Aaron. You haven't made him pay.
Yeah. That check bouncing.
Yeah, so that's the thing, like this is huge because this is his legacy. I mean, let's just be honest. Yes, he got a ring, but when you're as good as Aaron Rodgers and people expect every year, I can't tell you how many times at the beginning of the season I hear analysts say, man, I got the Packers going to the Super Bowl. And that's how much people believe in Aaron Rodgers. But then you look around and let's be honest, like the only other time that Aaron's really proved himself in an NFC Championship game is in that Seattle one, which he didn't lose that game for them. That was just bad play calling and just stupid. It was just a lot of stupid stuff all around. In those other games, blowouts. And in the game last year, Aaron was, let's be honest, he was timid. Aaron picked the wrong time to say, oh, wait a minute, maybe I should, and when he should have ran when he would have normally ran, he didn't.
Yes.
So the Aaron Rodgers, he's got a mental block that he's got to get past. I was almost saying, like, I remember how Steve Young had to get the monkey off his back to win the Super Bowl that time. Even though Aaron has that Super Bowl, that's what this feels like to me. He has to get that the Steve Young monkey off his back and try to win a Super Bowl now. This is his legacy. If he doesn't get it here, he can go win a Super Bowl somewhere else. People are always going to talk about how he could not win multiple Super Bowls being the best quarterback in the league in Green Bay. Yes, all the help and all that stuff, but there's many times they were set up for it.
Yes.
How many championship games do you go to? This is like Donovan McNabb stuff. This is it for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think I say this though. I'll double down almost. I would say that the two quarterbacks with the most to prove are in this game. I think both Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy G have the most to gain by a win than anybody else in there. We know the Bengals playing with house money. Don't get me wrong. I think if the Rams beat, the Bucks, I don't think anybody's gonna. They got to get further than that. But I think if Jimmy G slays Aaron Rodgers, his stock again goes up. And I think Aaron Rodgers cannot lose the first playoff game to the Niners again. Or it's going to be bad. Because I tell you right now, it's going to be bad just listening to me.
No, I know. I know.
Packers fans may want him out of. I know, like Packers fans may. It's time to go. I know that sounds crazy, and I wouldn't say it because I ain't stupid. You give me my quarterback that's going to get me in the playoffs every year. You give me my quarterback, but there's a lot of Packer fans that be like, "Go, you obviously didn't want to be here."
But you know what though, fellas? You know what, fellas? And this may sound crazy to me. This might sound silly. I don't think Aaron Rodgers cares about his legacy. I think Aaron Rodgers wants to win the football game, right? I think he wants to win. But Aaron Rodgers, to me, does not come off as being some like Michael Jordan or a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning. He's just that talented and he wants to win. But I don't see him as like, if he loses, I lose. Okay, I lose, I'm gonna still be considered the best of all time.
Yeah, I totally disagree.
I think he cares about his legacy, Christian. I think he cares about his legacy. I think because this is the thing, fellas. Y'all talking about pressure. See, I think the remaining, 8 teams that's left. I think the LA Rams as a team got the most pressure to win.
Yeah, they got too much talent.
They got too much talent not to win. But also the Packers right there too, because over the last 3 years under Matt LaFleur, the Packers in the regular season they 39-10. Aaron Rodgers about to win his second, NFL MVP under Matt LaFleur as the head coach, but he cannot lose to Jimmy G in this round. And like I said, I think this is a game he has to win. And for his talent, Aaron Rodgers should be in the conversation with the greatest of all time. Look, these are three quarterbacks.
Nobody cares who the coach is, bro. If they saying you the best quarterback, nobody cares who your coach is.
I know. I'm just saying.
So I agree with you though. He got the most. I think the Rams had the most pressure as a team.
Yeah.
If the Packers lose, they're not gonna say Matt LaFleur lost. They're gonna say Aaron Rodgers lost.
Matt's not getting blamed for that.
Right, real quick.
Blamed for that.
Real quick.
He'll get fired for it. He might not get blamed though.
He'll get blamed for it. Right. It's gonna be on Aaron Rodgers. These are 3 quarterbacks who got multiple NFL MVPs and multiple titles since the Super Bowl era. Peyton Manning, he got 5 NFL MVPs, 2 Super Bowl rings. Tom Brady, 3 NFL MVPs, 7 Super Bowl rings. Joe Montana, 2 NFL MVPs and 4 NFL Super Bowls. So if Aaron Rodgers can get over the hump and win a Super Bowl, he'll join that elite company. And I believe his talent warrants it. But, fellas, we got to wrap it up. But it's prediction time on the Wise Guys Sports Show on the Worldwide Sports Network. So I'm going to start off with you, Christian. And then I'm going to go to you, Darrell. And then you might drop. And then me. So, Christian, give me your prediction for the Saturday wildcard matchup between the Niners and the Packers.
28-24 Niners.
You said 48?
28.
Man, don't hurt me like that.
No, not 48. No, I ain't crazy. 28-24 Niners.
Okay. What you got, Darrell?
Man, it's crazy, man, because I don't want to say it's going to be a low-scoring game because I don't know if it's that or not, but I'm going to say –
what's the weather report?
I think it's supposed to be 14 degrees.
Yeah, again,
14 degrees, will chill, negative, wind chill negative like 0 or some stupid number like that. I'm gonna say 20. I would say 24-21. I just think it's gonna be a close game because this is who they are. I mean, these two teams just. I mean, I'm gonna go 24-21 Packers. I don't want to speak too deep into it because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. I just hope my boys win. That's all I hope. Please get me over the hump.
Man. And real quick, fellas, it just feel like in order for the Packers to reach their ultimate goal and for Aaron Rodgers to get back to the Super Bowl, you're going to have to beat some teams that you lost against already in the postseason. It just feel like it because even if we win, if Tom Brady and the Bucks beat the Rams, we got to see the Bucks again at Lambeau next week. So it just feel like it's only right to play the Niners in the postseason at Lambeau for the right to get to the NFC Championship. It just feel like it's part of the course, man. Go ahead, Mike Drop.
He took my score.
Oh, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go. Since he took my score, I'm gonna go 30-24 Niners.
30-24. Okay, you got 30-24 Niners. Okay. All right. So, man, the moment of truth. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers need to win this game. The Packers need to win this game. The Niners playing with house money. They playing with house money. They've already gotten farther than their expectations were, at different points of the season. I remember early in the season, the Niners were 3-5. They dropped to 8-7. When they lost to the Titans before Christmas, they were down 17-0 to the LA Rams. I mean, their season was supposed to be over weeks ago. They're here. I think the Packers have all the pressure in this game. I think Aaron Rodgers will outperform Jimmy Garoppolo. I think the Packers defense will contain that Niners running game. I know I'm rolling with the Packers to beat the Niners. I got Packers 27, Niners 17. I think we contain that Niners running game, and we're going to force Jimmy G to have to beat us. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I don't think it's going to happen. So I got to roll with my boys to get the job done at Lambeau.
We're surprised you picked him. We're so shocked.
I don't think nobody on this panel was picking the opposite.
Right. Packers 27, Niners 17. But real quick, before we get out of here, everybody send out your social media before we leave. Start off with you, Christian.
The Christian Bradley on IG for fashion tips and some stuff I got going on as far as me consulting. Fashion fly _low. I'm sorry, fly _4_low. And then on Facebook, there's my name, Christian Bradley. LinkedIn, Christian Bradley as well. Oh, and I'm hiring a TriHelp. You need a job, come holler at me, www.trihelp.com. I got 12 open jobs, so holler at me.
Go ahead, Mike Drop. This is a famous DJ here in the city of Cincinnati, one of the best DJs. All right, my man, Mike Drop, go ahead and shout your social media out.
All right, so on IG, it's just Mike Drop, MICDROP. On Facebook, it's Robert Anthony. On Twitter, it's Mike Drop. DJ Mike Drop, I think. Somebody hacked my other account. It used to just be Mike Drop.
Oh, the thievery.
Yeah. Some Korean kids that love BTS.
Go ahead, Darrell.
You can hit me up on Instagram. Let's see, Instagram, TikTok now, I guess. Instagram, TikTok, and on Twitter at DLO_legacy. You can also hit up the Legacy Maker Sports Network on Twitter at Legacy Maker SPN. You can hit us up on YouTube and Facebook at Legacy Maker Sports Network. And you can hit us up on Instagram at Legacy Maker Sports. And I'm on Facebook as Darrell Leon Sr. And that's where you can catch me at.
Okay, real quick, just for some context for our listeners. I got a text from Mike Drop on Monday, 11:17 a.m. when we knew we were playing the Niners. This was Mike Drop. He said, no cap. Y'all got the better team this year, but I know y'all don't want to play us because we give y'all hella matchup problems.
Real facts.
He said, we y'all Achilles heel. If y'all beat us, y'all going to the Super Bowl. So Mike Drop already spoke. Christian, if we pull off this win over your Niners, do you believe my Packers are going to the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they better. I can't take another interception.
To me, it's a waste. It's a waste. I feel like whoever wins this game going to go to Super Bowl. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I feel that way too.
My dream scenario is for Jimmy to beat y'all and then Jimmy to play Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tampa. That would be my dream scenario, and hopefully Jimmy can beat Tom.
Well, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy?
If we're talking dream scenarios, we beat Green Bay, we beat Tom Brady, and then we beat Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
The trifecta.
Real quick. So,
I'm just telling you.
You don't want
another, Bengals 49ers. That'll be awesome.
You don't want to play. You don't want to face off against Patrick Mahomes again. He already beat y'all 2 years ago in the Super Bowl.
It would be more entertaining, and this city would be way more fun if I had to play the.
It would be so much.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just keeping 100. First of all, the city gonna be on fire.
Man,
I'm gonna have a ball. And I ain't never picking the Bengals over us in no scenario.
No way.
Ever.
No way.
I never said they ever had a better team than us.
Me either.
Ever.
Me either.
Ever.
Me either. Me either. But fellas, you know what would be crazy? If the Niners pull off the upset and beat the Packers at Lambeau, and then not even 24 hours later, if the Rams beat the Bucks, the Rams would host the NFC Championship game. Crazy. And if they beat the Niners, they would host the Super Bowl. That would be crazy.
It could happen all over again. We could never have back-to-back hosts in the Super Bowl, but
that would be crazy.
Yeah,
that would be crazy, man. Okay, real quick. Who y'all got winning that game? Rams, Bucks. Not who you got? Mic drop.
I mean, it's hard for me for me to go against Tom Brady. And like I said, eventually Matt Stafford shows up. I mean, and I don't think this game is going to be a blowout. So I'm going to take Tom Brady because I think it'll be close. I don't think the Rams will blow them out. But if the Rams get up big, like I said, they're front runners. If they up on you, you're in trouble.
They're not getting stopped. They're up on,
Yeah. So
who you got in that game,
Chris? They know you got to throw, and they know you got to throw with Vaughn and Aaron Donald. That's just a recipe for disaster. So,
what you got, Christian, in that game?
I think the Rams are going to beat them, and the reason why is that on offense, I know they get Leonard Fournette back, but on offense, they're too banged up. You're missing Chris Godwin. Mike Evans is a beast, but you put Ramsey on, follows him, and kind of negates him. I think. I don't know who the linebackers are for the Rams, but
nobody that can cover ground.
I'm going to cover Gronk.
Nobody that can cover Gronk. I like that. Like
I just don't really believe. Again, you don't want to bet on Tom Brady. I just feel like they're missing too much. And Aaron Donald, probably this side of Lawrence Taylor or Reggie White, is probably the most disruptive. I ain't never seen a dude do the shit he do. Stuff he do. I'm sorry. I mean, Aaron Donald just disrupts defense, offenses all by himself. So. I think the Bucks have an issue with tackle or something like that. So yeah, man. So
see, I'm actually rolling with the Rams to beat the Bucks as well. I think the Bucks got too many injuries, and they've played the most games, more than any other team. At this point in the season, given the fact they went on a run last year, the only reason why we even giving the Bucks a chance is because of Tom Brady. Because of Tom Brady, but I think the Rams have a more complete team because the Bucks dealing with so many injuries, and they got some injuries up front. Jensen, the center, Wirfs, the tackle, is injured as well. They don't have the interchangeable parts like they had last year when they went on a run. No Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin is out for the season. I think they're going to have to include their tight ends in their game plan if they're going to win. Talking about the Bucks, Rob Gronkowski. We know he's one of the best tight ends in NFL history. You got Cameron Brate, you got O.J. Howard. That's where Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator for the Bucks, that's where they have to lean towards to have success for the Bucks offense. But I think Tom Brady keep the Bucks close. I got the Rams beating the Bucks 30-23.
And the Rams beat the Bucks earlier this year, right? They already beat them this year.
They did. 34-24. Who you got?
They got the better team. They got the better team.
I have a rule. I don't bet against Tom Brady only because I've seen Tom Brady win with less talent on his team. And so for me, it's just like until somebody can beat the man, I'm not going against him. Unless the Green Bay's playing them next week, that's a different scenario.
Yeah.
That's a different scenario. But besides that, in any other game, I don't go against Tom Brady until you can prove it. Now the Rams have beat him. Yeah. But I just in this atmosphere, it's different. So I've seen him win with less talent. I'm going with Tom and the Bucs.
What's your score?
Ooh, it's probably going to be crazy. So if I had to go, it's going to be high scoring. I'll say 35-31.
35-31. And last week against the Cardinals, Stafford only threw 17 passes.
Right.
He gonna have to have way more pass attempts
in this game.
Yeah.
They was ahead though.
They was ahead. That's true. But fellas, I want to thank you all for joining me on the Wise Guys Sports Show on the Worldwide Sports Network. We're gonna have a great divisional round of the playoffs. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend. I'm definitely gonna be in contact with all three of y'all because we're gonna be lockstep on Saturday watching this game. And then Darrell, I gotta say this, and Christian and Mike John gonna know what I'm talking about when I say this. If the Bengals find a way to beat the Titans, there's no way that I could sleep good at night knowing the Bengals went farther in the playoffs than the Packers. So I'm gonna be sweating bullets if the Bengals.
Yeah. Hey, they're gonna let you have it, Trey. They're gonna let you have it. They've been waiting for it. You gotta hope. Look.
Oh my God.
I'm rooting for the Bengals. I mean, the city is so much more fun when
the city's fun when they win.
No matter what nobody says. I love the Niners, but man, I'd love to see the Bengals win because these people, you thought they was acting like they won the Super Bowl last week.
Yeah,
they win this week,
man.
Hey,
y'all might not have a city to go to the next day.
That's what I'm saying. You never know.
Yeah, but fellas, I appreciate you joining me tonight. Y'all have a good night. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Okay,
Take care, brother.
Okay.
Peace.
That was Mike Drop, diehard 49ers fan. Christian Bradley, diehard 49ers fan, and Darrell Owens, CEO of the Legacy Sportsmaker Show on the Wise Guys Sports on the Worldwide Sports Network. There you have it. I got Packers 27, 49ers 17. Everybody remember go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H, also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. I'm Trey Larkin signing off the Worldwide Sports Network. Everyone have a great night.